Here's the three right here. Here's Michael. Here's Tina. That's Lisa.
You're a puny thing.
I know, you were that little too once. I remember when you were that little.
Who the heck is this? Children, these names. When he calls him, moron, that says hut.
So, do you recognize that?
I don't know what
Yep,
that
Honing River.
Okay.
And
What huts mean?
this is Market Street's on this side. This is the bridge we're running across for the trains.
So is that the bridge that we used to walk across?
No,
The Market Street
no,
Bridge?
no. Market Street Bridge is over here.
And it was long.
This is this was the trestle bridge for the trains.
Look at
You walk the Market Street Bridge?
Joe. I walked on Market Street Bridge.
I used to walk it all the time. Used to go down to McCrory's downtown,
Yeah,
give banana splits.
cheap. There's a sort of an ironic situation here because this house
At least I had jeans on.
began to be. They started in 1921,
Nice hairstyle.
the same year that Pop came to the United States.
There's the crazy family.
Okay, so that house got built without him being there,
And they got divorced, did I tell you that?
and then he never wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Did, did they think he was gonna come back?
Irritating, but
Well,
I don't think she knows.
I think in the
She
be-
just doesn't know how irritating she is.
Can you guys, other people
doesn't.
besides Papa, can you like shut up please? Or like go in another room? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so
Why?
irritating.
She's directing
Because,
now.
I have because I have the audio on, and when I try to use this audio, it's gonna have you guys
Well,
in the
you didn't
background.
tell us, so there's no
Yes,
need for
I did. I only
irritation.
announced it like 400 times.
Oh, you're playing now?
in the room, yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Maybe I should let everybody know that the camera's on.
You could wipe this out. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me, Tina, Lisa, and I don't believe this is the house that Mom and Pop built.
How come?
Well, it's
Stucco front?
this facing the wrong way. If you look behind the photo, there is a finished house on the back side, which is the street. This is the back side of the house.
That's what I thought. That's what I was trying to tell Uncle Pat.
Now, and I don't recall this being done down on the second floor, because if we looked at the house cascaded down like so. And the opening for the stall, which is what it was down at the bottom there, because we had hay and a variety of other things that we kept there. Pop kept his horse there, donkey and something else, and maybe some chickens. But it was not a finished door. It was an unfinished type of square door, okay? Because it was a utilitarian door rather than a finished door. This is a granite finished door. Now, I'm trying to determine where this house is, but definitely it is not, this wall does not face us,
Yeah,
okay?
that's what I was thinking too. Because
So this is not the wall that is there because there's another house there, completely finished. Therefore, this is not the house that Mom and Pop built. This is somebody else's house that they were building.
What do you remember about Grandpa and working at the stone mills? Like, can you tell us about what he
Pop
did there? And
Pop worked in the open heart. The open heart is where the steel is made. That is a molten steel. In other words, the furnaces are going, and what he used to do, he was the tester. Pop used to carry an asbestos covering on him because the heat was extreme. You're talking about thousands of degrees heat. When the door was lifted by a mechanical system, some guy way behind on the deal, he would have to go there with a cup made out of steel, dip it, pull it out, and pour it, and determine what that steel required to finish it for whatever purpose they needed. Eventually, it went to the lab before the blast furnace got finished, because the blast furnace ran for quite a long time. It didn't run for a few hours, it ran for days. They kept on firing it until it melted everything in there to lava. But Pop was able to take and I forgot the name of the because he had a long handle from here to that wall. And he would go in there and fill it in and pull it out. And then when he pulled it out, he would drag it on the floor to a cool area, and then he would pour it on a piece of plate, and he would tell the people what else it needed, whether it needed copper, whether it needed because all the material to make the steel was in piles in front of that. And what you had then was people with shovels, again with a mask and a hat and embedded, and they would, he'd say 40 shovels of this, 30 shovels of that, whatever needed. But time Pop, they got through and it was sent to the lab, it was exactly what they needed. And Pop knew that by heart.
Do you think Grandpa's position there had to do with the fact that he was an immigrant?
Pop's position was this the only thing he could get to get his work, because up until World War II, there were 10 workers for every job that was available. And so they used to congregate at the gate. And the foreman would come out and he would pick a dozen, 20, 30, 40 guys that he needed for that day, for the work that they needed, and the rest had to go home. Therefore, no money. Now, mind you, this is not the time when they were getting, $15 to $20 an hour. This is like $1 an hour, $1.35 an hour is the best that they got in those days, if they got that much. Because I saw Pop's check generally at the end of a 2-week period, whenever they get paid, it would be as low as $15 for the 2 weeks and as high as $23. But for the $15 or the $23, we were able to buy sufficient food for the whole length of the month. Because bread was 10 cents a loaf and meat was 15 cents a pound. Produce was a nickel, 3 cents, 2 cents.
Aunt Lucy was so young; she doesn't really remember much coming over, and I think that's really one of the most.
Well, I remember coming over because I earned quite a bit of money coming over, and I used to treat Lucy because Mom and Patsy were sick most of the time. They just couldn't eat. They stayed below, and they stayed in their bunks, and they were fed nuts if they could eat it, because they upchucked everything, even the smell of food. They were seasick. Both of them were seasick. We were aboard the boat 5.5 days, almost 6 days by the time we barked and boarded and so whole bit. And in that period of time, I found out, late in the afternoon, that there were a bunch of guys playing poker all the time at where the bar was. And so when everybody went to sleep, those guys at late o'clock at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night, when everybody's sleeping, they're playing poker. That means the help force, the workforce, is also sleeping. There was only one guy on the bar, and he was not permitted to leave that bar. He had to stay behind there. So the guys didn't want to leave the table when they were playing poker, and he couldn't leave, so I was in between. So I used to run and get their drinks, because they would holler for their drink. I'd go there and get it and give it to the guys, and they'd pop a half a dollar or a quarter or, in my hand. And boy, this was great, because in a given evening, I would earn, at that time, not knowing the denomination of the money, I would have earned at least, from what I could remember, a handful of about $3, $4.
In one night?
In one night.
It took Grandpa almost a week.
Right, and I did that for 4 nights straight. But I had 2 pockets full of money to myself. And what I did is, in daytime, I used to treat Lucy to everything she wanted. If she wanted an orange, I'd get her an orange, because we didn't have oranges in Italy. Fruit, candy, pizza dogs, this is sweet, pies, and so on. Because we wouldn't get that in our menu. We were 3rd class, so we got the basic food. 1st class got all of the privileges, and everything else went with it. So what we didn't get in, I remember she used to love the soup anglaise. Soup anglaise was sort of a warm milk with bread, soft, white bread, soaked in it. She loved it. She used to zop it up like crazy. And so every day we would get soup anglaise. And we would walk the whole ship, for her to see it. And she doesn't recall this, but this is what we did. We were befriended by a lot of strangers. We did get the train, and it was truly an immigrant train. God, it was an immigrant train of all types of people. German, Irish, Italian, you name it. It was a mixture. And you could tell if you walked it who they were from by the food they were eating. The Italians had the salami and the bread and so on that they brought over. And the German had the same thing, and the Irish had their own, potato stuffs, whatever they brought. But it was, even though they were from all different countries, there was a bond because they're all going in the same direction. They were all immigrants. They were all, except for the Irish, God bless them, they knew the language, and so they had the advantage. But the Germans didn't, nor did the Swedes, nor did the Russians that were there, or the Italians or Greeks.
Did Aunt Lucy ever tell you that story that she said it's her favorite story, that if she ever writes a book, she's going to call it Please Come Again Yesterday? Do you know what she's talking about?
Some years back, well, many years ago, when we first came from Italy, Bill was the only one who could really interpret the English language for any of us. So my dad told him that in case anybody came, he was to tell them to come the next day. So when the insurance man came that day,
And the guy was there, and he asked for my mother. And I told him, he says, no, here. And he says, when? You come yesterday. He understood what I meant, so he said, okay, and he left.
that's funny. Instead of you come back tomorrow, he said you come back yesterday.
What's your favorite story, isn't it?
It is my favorite story. It's cute. It'd make a great title for a book.
Tina, say hi.
And Patsy.
You were 9.
I have the camera on you.
You look at my picture, when I was at Mom. That was the month before we
Daniel,
left.
you look so
Oh, boy,
sad.
look.
I think you were like 8 or 9.
You want to be a star,
Hey,
right?
I was, see, it's right there. You see?
That was quite a dodge there.
Oh, thank you. I'm the artful dodger.
Yeah.
Especially when I look this good.
You zoom in on Daniel, he's still gonna be ornery.
God almighty.
Oh.
Time is gone.
Where was
I'm
that
gonna break
one
this
picture?
thing in half.
Show them one picture that looks like